about health, wellness, energy, and just some fun, interesting stories about life and how we interact with others. Also, there are videos on there that I have done with other guests or been on other shows, or just little tips on how to connect to your psychic self. Also, look for some quick tips coming up. I'll be posting those on the Oneness Radio. I'm working on those videos right now for you to help you kind of get those little life hacks, right? How do we get there quickly, and how do we have a little bit of fun just raising our vibration? Because there's so much heaviness going on. I want to keep it live, light, and fun. Little bit of airy there. I want to thank my sponsors for the show. Cellcore Biosciences. And if you can see that bottle, Cellcore Biosciences with their oxygen, and what a necessary tool we need right now, because we're not always able to breathe in, but we want to protect ourselves if we're in a place where we have to wear a mask, or go in where we're having a little bit of issue breathing and the weather's constantly changing. So much is going on, and you want to take care of yourself by raising your oxygen intake. And you can do that with a liquid oxygen by putting it in your glass. That is Cellcore Biosciences, or putting it right under your tongue. Also, another sponsor of the show is doTERRA, their Lifelong Vitality, which is a supplementation. Anything right now to help you boost your immune system and help you kind of raise your vibration, right? And if you want some more information, contact me, Nicole Borghi. You can go to those websites, Cellcore Biosciences, click on the links that are provided for you right up on the Oneness page, or go to my website and you'll find that today. Here we go. Let's get into the psychic reading for today. I'm going to start with it early. Usually I do it at the end of my show, but I got a special guest on and I want to let him share. So this morning, what I have pulled today is definitely the Shadow Queen. And the Shadow Queen today, I'll post that up on my website, and I will put more information on the Shadow Queen. The Shadow Queen is really looking at your subconscious, looking inside, what lurks inside, what lurks in the shadow of you, or the shadows also. It can be the shadows around the corner that you're not looking into. Are you looking ahead, and are you paying attention, or are you hiding, closing your eyes and hiding from the world? The Shadow Queen acquires knowledge. She also represents insecurity and manipulation. Are you in a part of life where you are playing the victim and you are allowing others to manipulate your decisions? Really, how do we stop this? What we do is we stop, we pause, put your hand to your heart, breathe in, and just sigh it out, folks. Just sigh it out. What you want to do is ask yourself, is this true? What is the first thought that comes to your mind? Are you connected to your angels and guides? And you can ask them at any time for assistance. Connect to those angels and guides and ask them, is this the truth? What do you know? Your eye, your third eye, is connected to that inner vision. It's connected to inside and what is without, what is within and what is without, and it can put that together. Start to connect to your intuition. If you'd like some help, reach out to me. I can help you boost your intuition, but please stay away from the victimhood. If you are in a victim role and you are constantly looking to others to make a decision for you, or rescuing, when you're reaching out for help, like if you're in the sea and you're just floating around in your hands out and you're reaching for help. Do you need the help, or have you victimized yourself where you refuse to either get the help, or you are allowing whoever, however, whatever they need to do to go ahead and help you? And at that point, maybe you don't need the help. Maybe you can do it yourself. Maybe you need a boost from somebody in a better mode. Check out who is saving you. Who is saving you? It's very important to understand who is the person that is saving you. Are they constantly saving you? Are you constantly the victim? Remember, in that wheel, you have victim, survivor, creator, but are they rescuing you? Is somebody on that third wheel, just a rescuer, and it's constantly spinning around and around. Remember, the common denominator sometimes can be you, and I had to learn that myself. I was the one in the situation always, whether it was somebody I was dating or friends. I constantly convinced myself that it was everybody else's fault, or that I didn't want anything to do with anybody, so I couldn't let anybody in. I closed off my heart. And what you need to do is awaken your heart. Awaken your heart, connect to your third eye so you can listen to your intuition and understand that that is true. Don't forget about that. What else I pulled today is I did pull some rune stones. So we've got Torisas, Anzus, and Wunyo. You might not be able to see these that good. Here we go. There's a good picture of them, and I'll post that up on the site as well after this is done today. Our podcast is done today. And what does that represent? So Torisas is really about protection, the counsel. Again, if you're the shadow queen, what's lurking in the shadows, ask for the positive protection that you know is in the light, only that is in love and light. The second one, Anzus. Anzus represents wisdom and the apprentice, inspiration and advice. Ask your higher counsel for advice. Is it people here on earth? Is it otherworldly beings? Make sure that you have a positive connection to your counsel and can understand those signs and symbols that they're sending down to you and the synchronicities going on. There is so much that goes on with each message we get, and start to understand and trust yourself so you can look at that. The last one is Wunyo. And on this one, it is harmony and blessings, a joy and affection, desire. Desire isn't want. Desire is in loving compassion for something. And that is part of manifestation. Want is lack thereof. Desire is in that positive mode where you desire it, you feel it. Maybe it's the rain. You want a little bit of a cold weather. You desire the comfort of the water, the nutrients of the water, the blessing of the water, and the healing of the water. And you want the water to come through, and you are desiring it for the land. We haven't had our rain here in Vegas yet, and we're looking for that. So we need to open up to that desire, the feeling, and that's how you call it forth. You bring the feeling in. Same with athletes. Are you focusing on that? What are they focusing on? That's that same thing. So desire is okay. Remember to feel, trust, and understand your emotions. And that's what we're looking at today is, are you the shadow queen? Are you in security, or are you just kind of standing back a little bit and looking at that shadow and watching what's going on so you understand the relativity of that situation and how it affects you? And so now what we can do, now here we go, drum roll. I'm going to bring Michael in today. It is Michael Rogers, Mr. Rogers. Let me bring him in here. Here we go. And Michael, can you hear me? Go ahead and see if you can unmute. For some reason, it's not unmuting.
I just did.
All right, perfect. Thank you. This is Michael Rogers. I'm going to let him introduce himself to you folks.
Fine.
Michael is become a good friend of mine. He's an excellent photographer, but what I want to share with you is why I thought it was important to bring him on the show was his ability to capture people's soul. His ability to capture what is you, the truth of you. It's not like most photographers where you're looking at a Vogue, a Cosmopolitan magazine, and they're capturing a situation, a theme, right? They're capturing some type of drama they want to put you in, which is fine at that point if that's what you're doing it for. But with Michael, he's bringing his soul, your soul out there. And he has this fantastic way of working with you and making you feel comfortable. And before I met him, I was not into photography. I didn't want other people to take pictures of me because they weren't capturing me. I felt that something was missing. And Michael has such a grand way of bringing that in and learning who you are, feeling and sensing and being intuitive into that. Michael, how are you?
Doing well. Thank you very much for having me. It's been like I did this radio TV sitting in front of a camera for about 37 years.
Hmm.
And in one way, it's like riding a bicycle, but then again, I'm going like, boy, do I remember the days I would sit at that desk with my shirt and tie on and lie about you about the weather every night, 6 and 10 p.m. Thank
You
you.
had to lie about the weather.
I,
Yeah.
I do, because when you in the moment and you've done it and you don't do it anymore. And one of the things I used to say was that, yeah, I'm gonna lie to you about the weather. And it's supposed to rain tomorrow and it's sunny. And people would look at me like, well, you said this. I go, well, I also said weather can't read. Okay, so there you go.
So you have this excellent connection to people and you've always been able to project that to people. And I love how comfortable you are with people. When I met you, it was at an event and we were having lunch and you took this excellent picture of me just kind of speaking in my comfort. And it was almost to me at that point, I wasn't too comfortable with speaking, kind of articulating what I needed to say. And you caught this picture of me, and it was so beautiful because it gave me the chance to look at it and say, okay, I'm comfortable doing that. I'm comfortable speaking to people. I'm getting out there. I'm working with people. Are you going to show some of these pictures
Yeah,
here?
I'm gonna do that now, because one of the things that's been so interesting about there you are. Look at that beautiful face. Can you see that beautiful?
You guys, it took me 47 years to get to this point where I can be on camera and be comfortable.
Yeah, but you have to tell people why I originally got that was because of the clothes that you were wearing. You remember the night? You remember the day we met? And I said, "That is so lovely. I would love to capture you in a portrait with that what you're wearing." And that's what you wore to the shoot. You remember?
Mm. I love that jacket. I've had it for years.
Yeah.
We got it up in San Francisco, and I love the colors. I love dragons, and I love the security and the comfort of what dragons represent. And so, if we get into it as spiritually, it's just what it represents to me: the comfort, the security, the strength. And the red is such a strong, vibrant color, and it works in the lower chakras. And so, and just for you to say that, it had represented so much more to me than just that one photo.
The how I get to where I get, and that's a long story. And I've been here now in Las Vegas for about 7 years. And I've now gotten to the point that I can explain in some way how I got to what you're talking about. A lot of it, more than anything else, started. In fact, it's amazing because when I do the headshot, and her name is Julie, right there.
Hmm.
And the one reason why she came for the headshot like she did, I remember she looked at me and she goes, "You know, you capture people's soul. How do you do that?"
Mm.
And photographers have a tendency to talk a lot of nothing to get to a point. And I remember saying to her, I go, "I don't know." It was just that simple. I didn't know. But then again, I did know. Um, to take a photograph of a person is not as easy as it seems, for the simple reason that they don't know you and you don't know them. So you're asking them to be this person in front of this camera to capture that image. Um, when Julie came in, it was real easy for me to make her comfortable, which is the whole point of all of this, to capture what I captured. But something happens when I'm behind. when I pick the camera up and put it in my hands, something happens to where I'm in this other space, I'm in this other world. And I'm tying in the simple fact of me, the person, making you comfortable to
Mm.
capture the image that I capture. I'm not afraid to look at you in the eye.
Right. Right.
After doing radio and television, especially television, um, you get used to that. You
Mm-hmm.
have to look at people in the eye. As a speaker, now I'm not of the, I can be, but I'm not of the, back then when I was growing up and holding a microphone in my hand and speaking to people, it was real obvious that you have to look them in the eye.
Yes. Yes.
You have you have to convey that. And it's really interesting what happens when you look them in the eye. With me, it's like I can see right through you. I can see everything right then and there. Your body features, um, how you speak, and at that moment is when I go and click the camera.
Mm-hmm.
Julie was. I'm going to get away from this because a lot
Yeah,
of
let's go ahead and go back to us on there.
right.
We're
You
gonna
know,
go back on that
when
speaker.
Julie came by, or when you came by, here's a great example.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at you. I had already noticed what by looking at your features what I wanted to capture.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I just wanted to recreate it.
Mm-hmm.
How I got there from the beginning, even before I picked up the camera, was that I was a people pleaser. You know what a people pleaser is, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. You want to get the people where they're at, what makes them happy.
Yeah, you don't want them mad at you.
No, no.
And I grew up as I'm not a people pleaser now, but people pleasers are very smart people. And they can just about pick you out in about 15 to 30 seconds to see what they need to do so you won't get upset.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
My first initial thought, other than you in front of the camera, were your eyes and your smile. So, from a photography standpoint, it's always important to capture the picture so it looks like you.
Right. Right.
And then as I focus the camera, something happens, which I like to say there's this connection.
Mm-hmm.
And this is going to sound weird, but I use this in television for quite a bit. When I used to do the weather on TV, when I would start initially doing the weather, I would never see the camera in front of me.
Right.
When I take a picture of you as a portrait or a headshot, once I lock onto you, I don't have the camera in my hand anymore. I'm looking directly at you. I'm not
Huh.
looking at you. Am I making any sense here?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So see, like you will sit there and see me with a camera.
Right.
I'm on the other side of the camera, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, everything disappears.
Mm.
I can just see the whole thing. It's like a football player saying he's running for a touchdown, but he does not hear the crowd in the stadium.
Right. Because that's all he's focusing on.
Right. Well,
Right.
same thing there. And there's this connection. Now, I would love to, I'm not going to waste your time and go, I hear this or I see this. It's just what it is. There's, I'm a big believer in certain things are meant to be. And there's certain people that are meant to be in front of my camera to capture the image that I get. So that right then in itself, I can just see right through you. And we just capture that moment. And then we take another one. And then I just get into the moment where there's more camera in my hand. I'm just
Right.
directly at you.
But you're when you're doing this, you're talking and you're having a conversation. You're not,
Right.
um, if I can ask you to stop sharing and just come back to the screen.
Sure.
Um, Yeah. So, hey guys, just one thing. I just want to remind you we're live. Go ahead and comment.
Ooh, look at
Say
that.
hello. Let us know where you're from. Like and subscribe. Go to these channels. Let us know how you're feeling, what you see, what you hear, what really resonates with you right now, because it's all about energy and it's all about your soul and your connection with people, the human race, your connection to Mother Earth right here. Uh, and that's what Michael does when he looks at someone. He's looking through you to your soul, and he's having just a delightful conversation, and it's just very easygoing. And that's what he's incorporated with his experience and knowledge. Michael, let's talk about how you got here. How did you end up here in Vegas doing photography? Was that always what you did?
Oh no, it was an accident. I'm one of these when I was growing up, I never had one particular thing I wanted to do.
Hmm.
Uh, I wanted to do everything. I I wanted the only one thing that I truly wanted to do was be in radio. Well, I got that, and then television became an accident. And so I was in radio and television in Alaska, Idaho, Maryland, about a grand total of 37 years. Uh,
Wow.
I was this DJ. In other words, I had some form of a microphone in my hand ever since I was 6. And I was just talking to people. When Las Vegas came, it was at a point where there was a change that was supposed to happen in my life. And when it took place, I lost everything. It was all gone. Lost family, career, the whole 9 yards. Children, I have 10 children. Uh,
Wow.
yes, Michael
You got a
has.
whole tribe. Wow.
So when I lost everything, I went through a period where there was a lot of things that I didn't understand. But for some reason, I just picked up a camera and started taking pictures. And I took a picture of Mount McKinley in Alaska, and that's where I'm from. And it made the cover of Alaska Magazine.
Hmm.
And when it made the cover and they paid me, I said, okay, that's it. Here we go. We're going to be a photographer. Now, the reason come to Vegas, um, because I know I could learn hitting the ground running. I didn't want to go to school. I'm self-taught.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And Vegas was the place to be self-taught, but not from a technical end as far as photography. It was the people that I observed to get to where I am now. There's there's a technical side and there's a school side. And like you were saying, I have this connection with people and I have conversations with them.
You do.
Okay. The one way you learn that is to have conversations with them and be in front of them and watch what they do and observe.
And you're
And
not talking at people. You're
no,
talking with
with
people.
people. Right.
You're communicating with them. I just want to say hello to Ben. David joined us. Um, Palomino, if I'm saying that right, Garcia just joined us. We have Rosella McDonald. Danielle Steele just said hello, and Susan came on in. Thanks for joining us, guys. We're so glad you're here with us today because we're with Michael Rogers, and it's always a fascinating conversation. And that's what he does is he just communicates his soul. And Michael is open to people and he's welcoming to people. And we all have that moment where it's like, you know what? Sometimes we have to turn off and step away. And sometimes we just have to, there's certain things that we don't choose to be part of, or certain things that you want to see. Michael, what part of the creation form of what you do, uh, how does that work with you making a business out of it, being able to kind of be the creative, be the sole proprietor, or be the owner of your business, being able to travel, being able to look around and seeing, also you see the landscape and the earth. What does that do for you?
A lot of it ties into just life itself. Um, I went through a period where I was this person. Then I went through a period where I'm now this photographer. Well, before the photography started, I was driving a semi. I was driving a truck from one side of the country to the other. Okay. And I've always wanted to do that because growing up, I read National Geographic magazine. So the life, the journey itself is what put me to the proprietor, the business person that I am. Okay. I
Mm.
came to Vegas. Great. So I have a magazine cover and they paid me $500. Well, I came to Vegas to be a photography, but now we got to start the journey. So I lived in my car for a year and a half in a
Wow.
parking lot of Starbucks in Henderson. To get to the point to where I needed to take pictures of people, you have to shoot photography. You have to go to places. You have to keep shooting. And sometimes they were for free. Sometimes they were for $20. Sometimes they were for food. You just have to keep shooting. And I built these relationships over a 7-year period to now where it was the mistakes that you make as a part of the journey to get to where you are. Because if you do it right, you can't learn anything.
And if you and there's nothing wrong with people, hey, going to a school, looking up a video, seeing
No,
something,
no.
learning with other people. Sometimes you want to learn something, but I think that that is so important, that experience. And you were willing to hop in a truck or hang out in your van or stay there, but to find what that creation was for you and to just take that bull by the horns and be like, look, I'm ready to run with this. I've felt into it and I see it and I feel it and I'm understanding that.
And the key, like you said, you're ready to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was ready to do this. I was ready to live in my car. I was ready to have all of life's because there were, I mean, we just go through life. I mean, I had a heart attack 3 years
Mm,
inside. You see what I'm saying? But I kept
right.
going. Okay. Um, my car caught on fire and I was homeless for a little bit. And I kept going. And I still kept doing what I'm doing. The relationships that I built with people to build the business came from the people of Las Vegas.
And you were willing to do what you had to do to kind of follow your soul
Right, right.
and be part of that because we all have a point of we can talk about we won't really get into it but where you get into that part where you kind of fall down or you go into sometimes when you give things up. I know for me when I just wanted to when I just gave everything up and came back to this healing journey and doing the coaching or coming onto the podcast, I had to let go of everything and just not necessarily hit the bottom all the time, but sometimes it's just letting go of what you don't need. Do you need everything? And it's everybody's journey is individual and it's discovering that journey. And I know for me that's why I reach out for people all the time is in my work in my program. I work out with people to kind of put that, bring that out. You don't have to feel the pain talking about it. You can feel into it and understand where that creation lied and how you can go past being the survivor. And that's an important part because you never, when talking to you, you're so willing to share your story and be vulnerable, but you know how far you're ready to go or how much you want to share, but you do that with people if they want to hear that and thank you for doing that and it's so great. And you were the very first video I did as a podcast several months ago and started putting out there, and that was such a journey for me for a speech that I gave to do that, to be able to just sit here like we're sitting on the couch just talking as friends. And it's important for people to know because now everything is virtual, but you still have to have that kind of personal touch. And that's what you do. You bring that personal touch. And because everything is so it's the computer or it's the TV or it's all cinematic and we have it at the touch of a button now. And sometimes it's just a remote control. You can talk to your little echo box and tell it to turn everything on, which is kind of crazy. But we're living in those times. How do you keep that personal touch when you're doing the virtual? when you're talking to your clients or other people? How has it changed for you?
That, in photography, we have a tendency to talk a lot of things that you don't understand. Chin up, chin down, shoulder this. All. And the thing that I was real good at before I got in photography and now was the fact that I was good at watching your body movements, how you are in a natural state, your facial features, a natural smile versus a fake smile. And one of the things that I wanted to do, I'd rather just have you as a conversation and capture from there. A photographer did it with a lot of rock stars. In fact, his famous person that he did it with was Ike and Tina Turner. And he caught them doing an argument. Yeah, he caught them doing an argument. And they were both looking at each other like this. And he captured that. Okay. During the whole thing, you just have a conversation with people. If I tell you to smile, you're not going to give me a real smile.
That's the first thing. And that's one of the things that got me about you, is because the minute somebody tells me to smile, I go,
yeah. But
and that's that rebel in me. I'm like,
hey, I'm the same rebel.
Don't tell me what to do.
If I tell you to show me some teeth, there you go. Or no smile. You just said it, the rebel. I'm the same way. When I'm on this picture you see behind me, and I'll never forget it because the photographer looked at me. She goes, Michael, you've been here for 6 years and now you're on the cover of a magazine. And I gave her that little smirk, like, yep, I sure did. You have to get to a point to where I'm comfortable with people having a conversation. I'm good at capturing those moments that are real.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, whether you like them or not is a totally different story. And that's the thing about photography, because this sounds good coming out of my mouth. Taking the picture sounds good, taking the picture. You looking at the picture could be something totally different. And that comes with the journey. That comes with the progress, which is why you can't do this right, because you can't learn anything. If someone says, I don't like this, you got to find out why. Okay. The thing is that it's not really you, but then again, it is you, but you have to understand that your vision and the person that you're capturing could be too different.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah. And
that's big.
You have to accept that. And if you don't, then you're going to be not in a good space. You know, when you sat, for me, we had a conversation. I think I told you one photography thing the whole session. We had this conversation. Okay. Everybody who comes in here, we have a conversation.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm real good at looking you in the eye and giving you nothing to put up any defenses about, but just have a conversation, because I want the real you. But instead of saying to you, I want the real you, right now, I'm talking to, see these expressions you got? These are natural and real.
Yeah. So, and what's the real you? I mean, because to me, here's the thing. When people go out, and whether it's networking, going to an event, going out to the grocery store, what is the real you? Because when you're walking around in the grocery store, there's a part of you. That's a portion of you that goes there, because you're in a different mindset than you are at an event. What do you mean the real you? And so people like to, when they sell, and you don't ever sell. And I think that's great, because what I see is you give a moment, or you get to know that person within the time that you can, and you are trusting with your intuition when you go in with these people, and they come back. They come back to you. And I love that when you share your pictures and they come back to you. And I see this with people, and they recommend you. And it's a beautiful thing when you're doing the right job. That's how you know that you're doing a good job. Is not only do they tell you, but they share it. And they get to trust you. And it's not just in business, people. It's really important for you to understand that if you cannot have relationships in business, there's something you have to look at inside. Why can't you have that relationship? Are you in the wrong place? Are you in the wrong group? It may be just as simple as that. It just may be something that's not beneficial or something that's fitting to you. Or it may be that, hey, you know what? You need to put your big girl pants on and get out there and learn to talk to people. Sometimes you have to learn to speak someone's language or put their shoes on and walk 5 miles in their shoes to understand them and to understand that part of the group so you can make the changes you need to make. Not to lie to yourself, not to become other people, but in order to change. And as we change, what do you want to be? What do you desire? And in your goals, as you're moving forward, you have to understand that there's changes you have to make. You're going to shed some bad things. You're going to clean out your closet, get rid of all the junk that doesn't fit you anymore. Clean out the closet in your head, dust it off inside of there. Sometimes dust off those old cells and progress and build new ones. And that's how you change. It's an alchemical change. It's a change at the cellular level. No matter if it's a change inside or a change for your business, if you're not progressing in your business, there is a reason. You can't say, okay, maybe it's this time and maybe it's the time that we have, but look at what's going on in the world. Why is it not working? Well, maybe you need to adapt. And some people can't adapt. And like Michael just learned how to do the Zoom and he's doing fine with it. It was something new for him. He doesn't have to learn that. When you say, you know, and I'm always learning something new and it's fun. How do you do Zoom? How do you work with this? How do you get live on YouTube? How do you reach out to other people? Because there's so many people in the world and there's so much going on, but are you having content that people are listening to and they're liking and they're sharing? And that's the other thing is, are you genuine? And always be genuine. And then you can make little changes around it, because if you don't bring it to the table, if you can't bring it to the picture and be the genuine you and talk in a soft conversation like Michael and I are having, just an easy conversation. You know, we can do that. And that's how you progress. You get to know yourself in doing that. You get to understand your clients. How do you do it? You consult with them. You start to talk to them. You listen. And that's huge. If you are having a hard time listening and not hearing what people are saying, what is it within you that's causing that? And that's what Michael does, is he has conversations. So he's not talking around you. He's not spinning that. And and some of that too is, hey, you were on TV. Hey, you were on radio. You could talk to people. Were you always that way?
Before and after. People pleasing goes big with me because there was a period in my life where I feared. I was scared. Okay. I didn't grow up. No, I take that back. The normal things that I wanted to do like other kids in school just didn't work out. Okay. It's like 5 guys on a basketball court and you're never picked. So you do people pleasing things to get attention.
Oh, yeah.
As a kid. All right. So you grow up and carry this into your adult life. Now, radio, I wanted to do. TV was an accident. But Michael himself was the people pleaser. He just wanted to get your attention. And I knew how to look and see what things that I needed to do that. When I stopped that and carried this over into, say, something like photography, the relationships that I had with people, it's not people pleasing anymore. I just know what to look for. And the one thing that's important to me is that I give you nothing to put up a defense on. Yeah. Male photographers have a perception, and rightfully so, because that's the business that we live in. Okay. Right. All right. The fact of the matter is that what it is? They view us as creeps. Okay. Yeah. Comes with it. There's nothing I can do.
But you're voyeuristic. Is that really being a creep, or are you being voyeuristic? No. And I'm not making an excuse for anybody out there, you guys. But I want you to understand, and that's that beauty that you see with people.
Yeah. But see, you have to understand how people look at you from the other side.
Right.
And the greatest line I ever got in Las Vegas was from a client. Goes like, Michael, you're always worried about you're a creep. You're a worry. She goes, Michael, you're a creep. I'm a creep. It's okay.
We're human and you're in Vegas. And you know what? There's showgirls, there's people
Right,
doing things,
right,
people are crazy, and they're in that space. But let's talk about this a little bit is the fact that you're able to bring a beauty to these women. When you do some of these shoots, you don't only do a but you always have a professional demeanor and you always have a professional manner. And that's such a beautiful thing when you do even your boudoir shots, and they're very tasteful and they're very elegant. And I think it's a beautiful thing for women to see if that's what you want. It's not for everybody, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, we're being adult here, we're from Vegas. We all have a body, we all need to love and embrace our body. And this is a way that I have seen some women. I think you said you had you have different clients that go through different times in their life, maybe where they want to see you do, I think it's books, right, where they can get shots of their beauty and their elegance, right? Talk a little bit about the mindset of let's just of a woman being in that place where she can share her beauty.
Boudoir was something I always wanted to do, but it was an accident. I couldn't get away from it, but then again, I wanted to do it. But when you speak to another female about a form of photography that lends itself to like what, you kind of have to stand back and find out the real reason why you're doing what you're doing. Boudoir got started in the 1920s.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that simple. If you can remember back to the 1920s, women couldn't vote, women couldn't smoke, women couldn't do anything. Photography back in the 1920s, you weren't allowed to do what we're doing now.
Right.
You needed a form of expression to express themselves. Okay. For me, learning a form of photography like that, I had to learn the history. My upbringing, I didn't have a father. I was raised by 8 women. So I was raised to be respectful of human beings, period.
Mm-hmm.
But I also, you don't hit a woman, you don't, I went through it all. My first boudoir that became what it was because of the simple fact that this woman had breast cancer.
Mm.
At 23, she used to be an Oakland Raider cheerleader. Now she's 48.
Oh,
She had breast cancer, but she beat it.
she beat it. Wow, good for her.
And she had lost some of her hair. And I remember saying, she came to me, she goes, like, I want you to do this. And we had this session.
Mm-hmm.
To capture a moment like that that's personal for a female, you give it to them in a book as a key.
Yeah.
Okay, because it's not about you putting everything out on social media and go, oh, look at me. Like, it's not that at all. It's a keepsake. And I remember
Right.
looking at her, I said, you know what, one day you're going to be 80 years old. You're going to be sitting on the porch. You're going to have a bad day, and you're going to pick that book up and go like, wow, that.
Yeah. How
So,
beautiful is that?
right. So when people ask me, what is it about boudoirs of photography? What does
Mhm.
it for me is when they get the book, because they see these pictures in this book that's personal to them as a keepsake.
Yeah.
It kind of was like, oh my. I remember telling her, I said, you better get the Kleenex out. You're going to be crying here. And she was.
But it's a journey. What you're filming is, how courageous she was, going through that point of life and being able to kind of timestamp it and say, this is me, this is my
Yeah,
beauty,
yeah.
and recognize the beautiful person she was and the journey that she's gone, and gift herself with such a gracious opportunity, because she is rewarding herself for the accomplishment that she has achieved.
And she trusted me enough
Yeah.
to go through that. There's this trust factor. She trusted me enough. I gave her no reason not to trust. But when we went through the actual session, it's like now what you're asking me the first part of this cat. What is it that you see? All of a sudden, there's no camera in my hand.
Right.
And we're doing
Right.
this session. And boudoir for me is a form of photography that's an art. Okay. it's gotten to the point now that I do quite a bit of it, but by the same token, when people honestly ask me, what is it for me? What does it for me to do this? I go like, when you get that book, that look on your face.
And that's it. I mean, how many millions or thousands of quadrillion years have people been painting women and men? I mean, you just go back to the artistry. It is such a gorgeous way to be able to be vulnerable on that picture and say, this is the beauty of me. This is the moment of life. I mean, we're born naked.
If you
Right?
go back to your famous stars you watched growing up, Lucille Ball, Rita
Yeah.
Hayworth, go back to Joan Crawford, go back to Marilyn Monroe. The one thing
Yeah.
consistent with these women was that when they were doing, back then it was called glamour.
Oh, yeah. The
Okay.
wow shot.
Right. Very, now you just said it. It was during World War One. It was during World War II. Those pictures were to boost the morale of the men during the war.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
Definitely. Oh, yeah.
Here's the beauty of the picture. See, we're doing everything from implied nude to they didn't do nude. You remember?
Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
Barbara Stanwyck, another one, did
Yeah.
so much glamour. She, so the thing is that this is nothing new that we're doing. This all got started way back when.
No,
And
it's not. And it's so neat in Vegas, I will say, for women to have that empowering sense
right,
of being comfortable with it. Not every woman, no, it's not for every woman. It's not for every couple. It is just it's just the beauty of you. And the women that we have, showgirls, there's yoga teachers, kundalini teachers that
correct.
I come across, and they just have such beautifully crafted, gorgeous toned bodies, and it's just a beautiful way. These women, especially in these Cirque du Soleil shows, well, of the past. Unfortunately, right now we're hoping they'll come back. But it's just the time that it takes to get into that body, the time it takes to be that beautiful person.
What you're
It's
saying,
almost like they're chiseled.
this not only applies to boudoir. Headshots go to this, to put a female or to put a person in front of the camera to capture the natural beauty of them.
Yeah.
Falls into the whole genre. What I do with my camera and you has become this conversation.
But the other thing I want to say is we're going down to 4 minutes here. But what I want to say is the difference between taking a Snapchat photo, and I love it because it's fun, but taking that and being with somebody that captures your soul. Because Snapchat has got the airbrushing in it. It's got the fun in it. It's got that you can do a different hair or a different face or change your gender and all that. But the beauty of what you do is that capturing of that moment.
If you
And
are a real person, it's going to come out because the camera will not lie.
that, yes, that is true. That
In
is true.
order for me to get and connect, excuse me, it is important that I connect with you to
Yeah.
get the real person, because when we can talk about this until Christmas, but you want
Mhm.
your photograph to look like you.
Yeah.
And in Las Vegas, where they've made more money from Photoshop than anybody else in the United States, but they love Photoshop here. Oh my God. This is the Photoshop to the world.
Because you'll drive around and you'll look at the billboard, and I've seen these people back of the house in the casino, and they don't look anything like that.
Oh,
There
no,
is no way.
so funny because I'm
No
going,
way. They don't look, they don't walk. They're not as tall as you thought they were. Their
Photoshop
hair color is totally different, and definitely the personality is different. But
different.
that's a persona, it's drama.
Right.
You understand that? Michael, we're wrapping up, and it's been a fascinating conversation with you. Thank you for coming on. How do people reach you? We'll also have it posted on the webpage. But what are you doing?
Right there. There it is. No, that's
It's
why
right behind you. Look at that. Michael Rogers, Mr.
only
100 in his
65
neighborhood.
old
He's up there.
It's all there. The last thing I want to say, first off, thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for
That was a
coming on.
great conversation to
You're
pass
welcome.
on to anybody as far as, because I get asked this quote, when's a good time to update your headshot? It's real simple. It's called the coffee test rule. Okay.
Mhm.
You basically go into a coffee shop with someone else, and if that person does not look like their profile picture, when you meet them at the coffee shop, it's time to update your profile.
And it happens all the time. It happens all the time. You ever get, before we go, here's my last question to you. Do you ever get pictures of things you can't explain when you're doing landscape and you've been driving? Have you ever seen like orbs or anything like that?
Yeah, the Northern Lights in Alaska with the full moon over Mount McKinley and it's 30 below. Yep. Sure. Get it all the time.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
That's
it's a beauty
beautiful. You
pretty much.
should share those just for the
Oh,
show,
I
for
got
people who
'em.
watch the shows. I would love that. Um, fun stuff. Thank you for coming on. You guys, it's been a pleasure. It's always a pleasure. We're live every Thursday, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And remember, go to my email, illuminatingvegas.com. It'll be in here. If you want a psychic question read live on the show, go to Illuminating Vegas. I'll read your question on the show. And if you want to reach me, that's a way to reach me. It'll be in here. Go to my webpage, illuminatevegas.com. If you have questions for me and you forgot Michael's information, reach out. You'll have it. It'll be there. I am so glad to take this journey with you. And I'm so glad you're here. And next week, we've got another beautiful guest. Virginia will be here, and she's an astrologer and she is a life coach as well. And she's a wonderful person, and she is here in Vegas also. And she'll be coming from our secret bunker. Hey guys, have a great day. Love you.